Hey folks, today is December 20th, 2024. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. And despite the Game Awards last week and things kind of winding down for the year, there is actually quite a bit of news to talk about, so we should just jump in. The first involves a rumor around one of my favorite games of all time, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and a possible remake. Now, you may have heard this in the past, thanks to leaked FTC or FCC, whatever, documents from the whole Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition days. Some of that paperwork suggested that an Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake was in the works, but you know, those things could have just been ideas. Who knows? Still, in the months leading up, we've seen more rumors and speculation with some leaks about a studio possibly working on it. And now we have from Insider Gaming, I'll link the sources in the description down below, the newest suggestion that the remake is real and the possibility that it could actually be revealed or announced next month in January 2025. So Insider Gaming reports from a leaker Xtasis who says that it is a real thing and that it possibly may come at an Xbox Direct event in January. This also connects possibly with the rumors that I mentioned earlier, where the studio developing it is Virtuos, which is a Singapore studio that has done a bunch of like support on porting a bunch of other games to different platforms. And so it kind of makes sense here if they are the actual studio behind it. I think it makes sense. It makes sense for a couple of reasons, but mostly Xbox, Microsoft trying to get as much value out of Bethesda as possible and start re-releasing and porting and updating some of their old games while they're still working on the next Elder Scrolls for probably forever. That being said, this is exciting. I love Morrowind and Oblivion specifically. Those were my RPGs in my earlier gaming days, but I don't want to discount the fact there is great community work going on out there that has been modding and updating and having a lot of fun in Oblivion for years, not to mention the massive project Skyblivion. We've talked about that on the channel many times before, and I don't want to see this project go to the wayside, especially because we don't know how the quality of this new Elder Scrolls remake, if it is true, how it's going to be. The rumors do suggest that it's going to be Unreal Engine 5, but like I said, at the very least, there is a great community group of people putting together Skyblivion, which is essentially a remake of Oblivion in Skyrim's engine. They've posted lots of gameplay videos and updates about it for years now. They were hoping to release it in 2025. It does look awesome, so I just hope that's still a thing. I hope that people have an alternative. That being said, Skyblivion or an Oblivion re-release, remake, whatever, remaster, I am excited because I like these games a lot. One of these days, your Uncle Jake is going to retire, and my retirement video game is literally just going to be sitting around for the rest of my life. Like how like Bilbo went off with the elves. My version of that is just sitting at my desk and playing modded Morrowind and Oblivion for the rest of my life. That's a dream, at least. But let me know what you think about this, like weird tangent aside. What do you think about a possible Oblivion remake? Is that something that you want? Is that something that you would try? Did you try them and thought they were like, it was kind of like showing its age? I want to know where you're at with this. Of course, as of right now, that also is still rumors and stuff, so take that all with a grain of salt. But with that, with rumors and leaks, the Nintendo Switch 2 or the Super Nintendo Switch or the Switch Pro, whatever the hell you want to call this thing, this has been in the headlines more recently, in case you missed, because we're getting a lot more leaks, and with a lot more leaks also comes more speculation. Some of the biggest thing are some renders floating around. I don't know how much I can show on screen here without Nintendo suing us, but there are things, I'll link them in the description down below. There are images floating around that are essentially renders of what this new Switch could possibly look like, along with the fact that you have case manufacturers like D-Brand technically kind of just like putting out the specs out there. So with this, a redesigned stand that seems much more useful, much more stable. Of course, the previously leaked new updated Joy-Cons are also here, and they look similar, but they seem like they might have hopefully less stick drift issues, as well as like a magnetic connection. This has been talked about a lot already, but the newest report with this comes from reporting from The Verge, who speaks to a leaker that had apparently some information on the dock. From what The Verge is reporting, and it sounds like they're fairly confident in it being legit, it seems like this dock actually might have some fan vents for it, which, is reading into it, but like it could suggest that the dock brings more power. Apparently, it seems like the ports are the same, power, Ethernet, nothing too surprising there. But the possibility of fans could be interesting. Also, with the leaker that The Verge spoke to, suggesting that, and I quote, the dock is rated for 60 watts, while the Switch 2 itself is rated for 45 watts, both of which would be substantially higher than the original, if true. The original Switch had an unusual 39-watt charger for both docked and handheld modes, which only provided up to 18 watts for the handheld. So this suggests more power. We don't know if essentially this is going to mean when you dock the Nintendo Switch, it gets more powerful on your TV screen. We don't know anything like that. We also don't know, out of all these leaks, we have the physicality of a lot of it, but we don't really know much about the hardware. If it is supporting DLSS and it's going to be upscaling or any of that stuff, those rumors that have been floating around for quite some time now. None of that here, just little things floating around for the last week or so about the dock stuff I just mentioned, as well as the shape, look of the device, the controllers and stuff like that. So if you do want to look it up, it's linked in the description down below. But this rumor does also suggest a possibility, maybe, of a January reveal, which is, on the one hand, I don't know. Nintendo's been very weird about talking about this thing. And they keep saying that it's not going to be for a while, but that could just be like a shareholder pleasing thing. But also, on the other hand, January is kind of a quiet month. And if they wanted the complete spotlight, they would have it. So maybe January, maybe not. Who knows? Like I said, with all this stuff, it's fun to speculate. It's all rumors, though, so take it with a grain of salt. That's 2 big grains of salt that I said in one video. That's too much. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, it's worth pointing out that there is an update for Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I point this out specifically because I like the game. I recommended it, but I also said that it is a mess. And it had a lot of issues. It's been reported in the past, but still, it didn't get in the way of me enjoying it. And now we have a really big update. Like, I'm talking huge, 117.8 gigabytes for this 1.1 patch. This is going to bring a bunch of improvements. People are still going through it. Andrew, who's editing this video, says so far, firing it up, it is noticeable in the zone, but fixes to save bugs and progression bugs and lots of really bad stuff, but also some tweaks to the life AI, essentially the randomness, the emergent stuff in the world and how enemies behave, how enemies spawn in randomly. It's a little bit more organic and less cheap and craptastic now, and that's good. I'm looking forward to diving into this more quite a bit. There's a huge patch list if you do want to read it. It's linked in the description down below. Next up, with the holidays here, sometimes it can be a little hard to keep track of your finances. You're buying gifts for people, you have money coming in and out. Then you also still have subscriptions you're signed up for sometimes that you can lose track of. The end of the year, the holidays can be a mess, but thankfully our sponsor, Rocket Money, can help out with that. It's an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. I personally have been using Rocket Money on my phone for years now, before they were even a sponsor, to just really get on top of things. One of my favorite things is when you get it all set up, you can view all your subscriptions you have at a glance in case you lost track of anything. And if there's something you want to cancel, you can do that. Rocket Money can actually cancel those subscriptions for you with just a few taps. You don't have to talk to anyone. It's great. But there's a whole host of features here. You can monitor your credit. You can also create custom budgets to help you really save for a goal and set notifications that alert you to when you go over your limit or you get close. It's really comprehensive. And long story short, it's helped me save money. It's not just me though. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when using all the premium features. They've also helped customers save over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, so you should check this out. You can save more and spend less and join the over 5 million customers using Rocket Money today. All you gotta do is head to rocketmoney.com/gameranx or click the link in the description down below. Again, that's rocketmoney.com/gameranx to get started for free or unlock even more features with premium. Either way, rocketmoney.com/gameranx, and big thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. Next up, it seems like things are getting worse for the US-based game retailer GameStop. Now, we've talked about in the past, over the past year, they had something like 200 store closures, which is massive. And you do notice it. I don't know, I've spent a lot of time on the road this year. And usually it used to feel like there was a GameStop, in every single shopping center. Now, not really the case. Even in my local mall, the GameStop is no longer there. Now it's just some weird store. I mean, that happens in malls a lot. But anyway, I digress. So with those store closures, it is now revealed that Stop. I stumble through it. GameStop, not GameSpot. I've been doing this for years. It has been revealed in some new financial and court filings that GameStop is closing more stores. We don't know how many yet, but apparently they are reviewing their portfolio and it is going to be a thing. According to the source I'll link below, the popular gaming retailer says net sales have fallen 20%, now sitting at 860 million, which is a drastic change from its 1.08 billion in 2023. That's quite a drop off. Wedbush, the analyst firm, they're pretty on the video game beat, said that also it doesn't paint a pretty picture for their future either. Now, we've heard this before, of course, and they've hung on, but the quote from Wedbush here really stuck with me. GameStop has virtually no chance of returning to profitability in its core business. Now, you might ask, why? Are they just bad at it? I think no, it's the changing market and the things going digital and, lots of reasons that we've talked about in the past. But that quote, I was like, damn, they're burying them. And then GameStop's quote itself in the paperwork that I mentioned earlier is, while a specific set of stores has not been identified for closure, we anticipate that the review that we're conducting may result in the closure of a larger number of stores than we have closed in the past few years. And that is significant. That could be a pretty devastating number. GameStop has been trying. Obviously, this year they shed Game Informer. They finally closed the doors on Game Informer. So we're just going to have to wait and see. If you're holding on to that meme stock still, good luck, Godspeed, God bless. But I'd love to hear from some people out there that work at GameStop. I know those numbers are dwindling as well, but if you're a manager or, or a DM, anything, I would love to hear your insight. Let us know in the comments. Also, small confirmation, we've talked about the rumors, the fact that it had been heating up and like one company this and one company that. Will they date? Yes, Sony now officially owns a significant stake in From Software, Elden Ring's developers' parent company, Kadokawa. We reported about PlayStation, or rather Sony, in talks to acquire Kadokawa, and now here is the deal. It's official. Sony has signed a strategic capital and business alliance and agreement with Kadokawa that will see it acquire over 12 million new shares in the company for approximately 318 million. So now Sony is holding 10% of Kadokawa's shares following this deal, according to GameDeveloper.com. So there you go. It's official. At least at some point, they have a significant investment in Kadokawa, which of course goes much bigger than just the fact that they own From Software, which Sony also has shares in, specifically just that studio. But Kadokawa is a bigger thing beyond video games, anime, manga, stuff like that. But still, we don't know how this is going to affect games moving forward. They just said, oh, we want to maximize IP globally and a bunch of corporate speak. So for now, we're just going to have to wait and see. Next up, some cool things I wanted to link in the description down below. A new gameplay video for Lost Soul Aside. This is a really cool kind of action combat Final Fantasy style, like inspired game that we've talked about for many, many years now. It started off with like one developer. It had incredible graphics. The project has continued to grow, but we haven't heard anything about it for a while. And now here you go. Here it is in all its glory. Also, Killzone has kind of made a return in the gaming culture in a very small way. There is Hellgas stuff in Helldivers 2. I think this is very cool. You can get a cool Killzone assault rifle, a Hellgas banner, player card, cape, as well as armor with the helmet, the iconic look. Very cool. It launched as a paid thing with credits, in-game credits, but after community backlash, the developers at Arrowhead have made this stuff free for the holiday season. It seems like it's going to be limited, but yeah, I'm just happy to see Sony dragging out Killzone a little bit. I really hope that people really make some noise on this and that they revive Killzone or something. I don't know. I feel like PlayStation could use a good first-person shooter like Killzone again, whether multiplayer or the incredible single-player campaigns. But yeah, I digress. This is a thing. Also, speaking of Sony, they put out like a really lengthy PS5 Pro deep dive developer talk with Mark Cerny, the head systems architect, the mind behind the console. And this is all technical. It's not a lot of gameplay. It is very much Digital Foundry coded, if you will. If you're interested in this type of thing, you can check this out. Like I said, it's pretty lengthy and pretty detailed and interesting. But also, I wonder why they did this specifically. Is this just for the nerds? Is this because they want more information out there about it? They want more coverage? Is the PS5 Pro not selling enough? I don't know for sure, but either way, I like listening to Mark Cerny talk. He looks like Dana Carvey, but he's got this gentle voice of an angel. I could like fall asleep to listening to him talk about teraflops. Is that weird? Anyway, let's move on. One thing I did want to highlight is that Capcom has once again gone on record that they want to continue, quote unquote, reactivating other dormant IPs. Now, they've talked about this in the past when they were bringing back Resident Evil with the remakes and stuff. And now they've proven it with, of course, a new Hideki Kamiya studio, Clover's, making a new Okami game, as well as, of course, to my excitement, Onimusha coming back with that new game announced at the Game Awards, Onimusha Way of the Sword. That's great. So like they are really doing it. But after this, they have once again reiterated and doubled down that they want to bring back classic franchises. On their investor relations site, they put out, in addition to regularly releasing major titles each year, Capcom is focusing on reactivating dormant IPs that haven't had a new title launch recently. The company is working to further enhance corporate value by leveraging its rich library of content. Yeah, man, they are sitting on so much. Obviously, the Clover studio suggests a lot, whether it's something like God Hand or something crazier like, Beautiful Joe coming back. But of course, for a lot of people, yes, it's Dino Crisis. Maybe a new Dino Crisis revival. Anything can happen at this point. And I say that specifically because I didn't really expect them to bring back Onimusha. I thought it would have been something else first. I actually thought it would have been Dino Crisis before Onimusha, but here we are. So at this point, I think anything can happen. And I kind of wanted to end the Friday show on that little ray of hope. Maybe one of your favorite beloved franchises coming back for a return. Who knows? But I think that's a good place to end this. So let me know what you think in the comments about everything we talked about this week. The Oblivion remake rumor, the Switch 2 leaks. What do you think the Switch is going to be called? Mark Cerny's PS5 Pro deep dive. Like I said, a small amount of stories this week, but pretty interesting in-depth ones. So let me know what you think about any of this stuff. I'd love to hear from you. Also, be sure to check out the Friends Per Second podcast I do with Lucy and Skill Up. Jeez, it almost comes out naturally. But yeah, we did our final end of the year podcast breaking down the Game Awards. We also spoke to some of the Witcher 4 developers. So if you want to check that out, that'll be linked in the description down below, or you can find it on Skill Up's channel. But yeah, check that out. Of course, you can always find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places at Jake Baldino. This is technically the last Friday news show of the year, but I got you covered. We're still making videos every day, and I will see you next Friday. But for now, all I ask is that you let us know in the comments what you're playing in that pinned comment down in the comment section, of course, for our research. But just have a great weekend. Be safe. Pizza's on me. See ya.